Welcome to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, a quiet little place where gentle stories and the soft movement of paint across a canvas help you relax, slow your thoughts, and drift peacefully towards sleep. Tonight, as warm colors slowly blend on the screen, like soft brush strokes of paint, we begin a calm journey back in time, into a story carried across the open ocean, where the sea itself seems to breathe in silence, and the horizon holds secrets that never quite fully reveal themselves. You don't need to focus too hard on anything here, just listen, and allow your mind to settle, as if it is being gently painted over with calmness, one slow stroke at a time. Before we begin, I gently request you to take a quiet moment to like the video and subscribe, so you can return for more peaceful stories and sleepy mysteries. In the year 1881, a tall sailing ship named Ellen Austen departed from the busy port of Liverpool, in England. The wooden docks were full of life, sailors calling out, ropes tightening, and the slow creaking of a great vessel, preparing to meet the endless Atlantic Ocean. At the helm stood Captain A. Griffin, a man experienced with long sea journeys, steady, observant, and familiar with the unpredictable moods of the water. On board were dozens of passengers and crew members, each carrying their own quiet hopes, some dreaming of New York, some dreaming of a new beginning, and some simply trusting the ocean to carry them safely forward. As the ship slowly pulled away from land, the shoreline of England faded behind them, until all that remained was open water in every direction, wide, deep, and endlessly blue, beneath a pale sky. The first days of the voyage moved in a peaceful rhythm, the sails catching wind, the crew following routine, and the ocean behaving exactly as expected, calm, steady, almost comforting in its predictability. For many days, the Ellen Austen continued its journey across the Atlantic. Life on board followed a simple pattern: morning light, quiet work, the endless horizon, and nights filled with the soft creaking sounds of wood and rope as the ship moved through dark waters. The ocean during this part of the voyage felt ordinary, almost reassuring, as if it were guiding them gently forward, without any intention of disruption. But oceans are never truly still in their nature, and somewhere far ahead, beyond the familiar routes and predictable winds, lay a region that sailors spoke of in softer tones, a place where the sea behaved differently, where compasses and currents sometimes told confusing stories. As the Ellen Austen gradually approached this distant area of the Atlantic, known as the Sargasso Sea, the atmosphere began to shift in ways that were not immediately obvious at first. Subtle changes that only long experience at sea might notice. The air felt heavier, the wind less playful, and the water beneath the ship took on a strange kind of stillness, as if the ocean itself was beginning to pause. And if you look closely at the imaginary canvas in front of you, how the brush slows, as though even the paint is uncertain of where to move next. You may feel your breathing naturally slowing now, as if your thoughts are beginning to float a little farther away, lighter, softer, like a ship drifting without resistance across still water. Days later, everything changed. The wind, which had once filled the sails with steady purpose, began to fade away completely, leaving the ship moving with no clear push or direction. Then came the fog, not sudden like a storm, but slow, thick, and almost careful in how it surrounded the vessel, gently closing in from every side until the horizon disappeared entirely. It was as if the ocean had folded itself inward, hiding the world beyond sight, leaving only the ship and the quiet pulse of water beneath it. And within this silent haze, Captain Griffin noticed something unusual forming in the distance, a shape, faint at first, barely more than a suggestion against the fog, but undeniably present. It was another ship. It drifted slowly on the gentle swell of the water, with no clear movement, no visible sails catching wind, no sign of active control. From afar, it looked almost frozen in time, as though the ocean had decided to preserve it in a moment of stillness, letting it float endlessly, without purpose. Yet the deeper silence surrounding it felt heavier than the fog itself, as if the absence of sound carried its own kind of warning, something unspoken, something quietly unsettling, beneath the calm surface. And as the canvas on your screen continues to evolve, soft colors blending on the canvas, you might find your eyes growing heavier, your thoughts slowing just a little more. If you are finding yourself drifting with this story, you might consider subscribing to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, where every journey is painted slowly, gently, and designed to help the mind relax into sleep. And now, as the fog surrounds both ships in silence, you can simply rest here, letting the mystery stay unanswered for now, while your awareness grows softer and quieter with every passing moment. The silence inside the fog felt heavier now, as if the ocean itself was holding its breath. Captain Griffin stood on the deck of the Ellen Austin, staring into the pale wall of mist, where the strange abandoned ship slowly drifted. In those times, the sea was not only seen as a path for trade and discovery, but also a place of danger, where piracy was always a quiet fear beneath every voyage. Ships could be attacked without warning, cargo stolen in moments, lives lost without ever knowing who struck first. So at first, Griffin's mind tries to make sense of what he is seeing. Perhaps he thinks this is a ship that has been looted, a victim of pirates who vanished just as quickly as they arrived. But something about it does not feel right. And so, with careful steps and a few trusted crew members, he decides to board the drifting vessel and see the truth with his own eyes. When they step onto the other ship, everything becomes strangely still, almost unreal. There is no chaos, no broken wood, no torn sails, no scattered belongings. Instead, everything is in place. Cargo crates sit neatly stacked, ropes are tied, tools remain where they should be, as if the ship was never disturbed at all. And yet, something is deeply wrong. Because there is no one. Not a single sailor. No captain. No crew. No voices. No footsteps. No signs of panic or struggle. It is as if the entire human presence aboard this vessel has been gently erased, without leaving even the smallest trace behind. Griffin searches carefully, room by room, deck by deck, hoping to find even one clue, but the emptiness only grows heavier the longer he stays. And the more he looks, the less sense it all makes. Because if pirates had attacked, there would be damage, stolen goods, chaos. If there had been violence, there would be evidence, struggle, something left behind. But here, there is only silence, and order, and absence. A silence so complete, it almost feels intentional. And as the soft canvas strokes continue moving slowly on screen, you might imagine pale fog-colored paint spreading across empty wooden decks, like the scene itself is fading into a dream that refuses to fully form. And just like that, your thoughts may begin to slow again, drifting gently between curiosity and calm, as if your mind is floating a little farther away from certainty and a little closer to rest. Back on the Ellen Austen, Captain Griffin stands in deep thought. The abandoned ship cannot simply be left behind, not in a place like this, not when nothing about it makes sense. And yet, something about it pulls at him. A quiet tension between caution and curiosity. And slowly, he makes a decision that will change the course of this strange journey. He orders the ship to be taken in tow. Ropes are carefully secured, and the mysterious vessel is now pulled behind the Ellen Austen, drifting like a shadow that refuses to be shaken off. To keep control, Griffin assigns some of his most experienced sailors to board the abandoned ship. Their task is simple: stay aboard, maintain order, and ensure it follows safely behind. For a while, the ocean seems to accept this arrangement. Two ships now move together through the vast Atlantic, one leading, one following, both surrounded by endless water and quiet sky. It almost feels stable again, almost normal. But the sea, as always, has its own timing. Without warning, the weather begins to shift. At first, the wind returns in small restless bursts, then grows stronger, more unpredictable, until the ocean itself begins to rise and move with anger. A storm forms quickly, violently, swallowing both ships in a tightening grip of waves and wind. The sky turns dark and the fog thickens until even the closest ropes disappear from view. Sound becomes muffled, distant, as if the world has been wrapped in heavy cloth. And for a time, there is nothing but motion and darkness and uncertainty. When the storm finally begins to fade, the ocean slowly returns to stillness again. But something is missing. Griffin looks back toward where the second ship should be and sees only empty water. No sails, no silhouette, no drifting shape. Just the ocean, calm once more, as if nothing had ever followed them at all. Days pass as the search begins again, the Ellen Austen moving through uncertain waters, scanning the horizon again and again. And then, finally, the ship is seen once more, drifting in the distance. But what Griffin discovers now chills him, in a way the first encounter never did. Because the ship is exactly as it was before, empty, silent, abandoned once again. And worse still, the experienced sailors he had placed aboard, the men he trusted, the men who were meant to secure it, are also gone. No signs, no explanation, No trace. Just like the first crew, they have vanished, without leaving anything behind. And as this realization settles in, the ocean around them feels even quieter, as if it is listening, waiting, remembering. And you may notice now how even your thoughts feel a little more distant, like echoes fading slowly into soft water, where everything becomes lighter, slower, easier to let go. Still, Captain Griffin refuses to accept defeat. Perhaps it is determination, or disbelief, or the need to understand something that refuses explanation. He sends another group of men aboard the mysterious ship. Once again, they cross the gap between vessels, stepping into the unknown. But this time, something even more unsettling happens. The ship disappears entirely. Not just from sight, but from every attempt to find it again. No drifting return. No second chance. No sign of where it went. And the men who boarded it are never seen again. It is as if the sea itself has taken them, without resistance, without sound, without explanation. And this region of water, where so many disappearances begin to gather across history, would later become known as the Bermuda Triangle. A vast section of the Atlantic Ocean, stretching across nearly 500,000 square miles, forming an invisible triangle between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. A place spoken of quietly by sailors and later by history itself. A place where ships and even airplanes have been reported to vanish under strange and often unexplained conditions. Over time, it earned many names, each one reflecting human fear and fascination. The Devil's Triangle, the Isle of Devils, the Twilight Zone, the Limbo of the Lost, names born not from certainty, but from stories, questions, and unease. If you are finding your thoughts slowing, gently drifting through this quiet mystery, you can consider subscribing to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, where history is not rushed, but slowly painted into calmness, stroke by stroke, night by night. And now, as we move deeper into this story, we begin to travel even further back in time, toward the year 1492, a time when the world was still being carefully mapped, still being slowly understood. One voyage at a time. It was in this year that Christopher Columbus, one of history's most well-known explorers, set sail across the Atlantic with a simple but powerful goal: to find a new route to India. Of course, he never reached India in the way he expected. Instead, his journey would eventually lead to the discovery of a completely new landmass, what we now call America. But long before that discovery, during his crossing of the Atlantic, Columbus passed through the very region that centuries later would be known as the Bermuda Triangle. And according to his own written records, something about that part of the ocean felt different. Columbus kept detailed diaries of his voyages, noting winds, distances, weather changes, and unusual events he encountered at sea. And when he entered this particular stretch of water, he described a series of strange occurrences that unsettled both him and his crew. At first, the change was subtle. The ocean felt less predictable, the air slightly uneasy, as if the usual rhythm of sea and wind had been disturbed. Then, the compass behavior changed. The needles did not point clearly anymore. Instead, they seemed to move erratically, spinning without consistency, as though direction itself had lost its meaning. For sailors of that time, the compass was everything. So even a small disturbance could create deep fear, like losing the ability to trust the world around you. And as you imagine this moment, you might notice how the canvas on screen becomes more abstract, brushstrokes swirling gently in circular motion, mirroring that confusion, that quiet uncertainty. And just like those spinning compass needles, your thoughts may also begin to slow their direction, softening, loosening, drifting without effort into a calmer state of awareness. But the strange events did not stop there. Columbus also wrote about seeing unusual lights far out on the horizon during the night. Not the steady glow of ships, but something more mysterious, flickering shapes appearing briefly over the dark water before fading again into nothing. At other times, he described patches of water that looked strangely pale, almost white, against the darker ocean around them, as if the sea had changed texture in certain places. And then came the most shocking moment of all. Columbus reported witnessing what appeared to be a large fiery object falling from the sky, descending rapidly until it disappeared into the ocean below. A burning sphere, vanishing into the deep water without explanation. For someone living in the 15th century, such a sight would have been nearly impossible to interpret, except as something deeply unnatural or divinely symbolic. And as modern readers, we still pause at this description, because even today, it remains difficult to explain with certainty. As Columbus continued his journey, the ocean grew even stranger. Large fields of seaweed began to appear, stretching across the water like floating green carpets, covering enormous distances. In some areas, the vegetation was so dense that ships struggled to pass through it, their movement slowing, almost as if the ocean itself had become thicker, heavier, resistant. The ships became partially trapped in these natural barriers, forcing the crew to work harder, cutting through the seaweed slowly, carefully, while the ocean beneath remained hidden and unclear. And in that moment, it must have felt as though something unseen was holding them back, not violently, but firmly, like a quiet resistance beneath the surface of the sea. Eventually, after great effort, Columbus and his crew managed to break free and continue their voyage. But the memory of those strange conditions remained. And as centuries passed, more reports from this same region of ocean began to appear. During the 16th and 17th centuries, sailors navigating these waters started sharing unsettling stories. Some claimed that sudden storms would rise without warning, even when the skies above looked perfectly clear. Others spoke of deep, low sounds coming from beneath the water, like distant movements, or something large shifting in the depths below. Over time, these repeated experiences began to shape belief, and many sailors started to think of this region not just as dangerous, but as something almost supernatural. Some even said, in their own words, that devils lived within these waters, pulling ships into silence. Old maritime maps and handwritten logs from that era sometimes carried warnings, notes of fear, and warnings to avoid certain routes whenever possible. And as stories spread from ship to ship, the fear of this region slowly grew stronger than the understanding of it. And you may notice now how even these historical fears begin to feel distant, like old stories floating far away on a quiet tide, while your own awareness remains soft, safe, and gently drifting. Then came later centuries, where the mystery only seemed to deepen. In 1779, reports mention the sudden disappearance of Thomas Lynch Jr., an American revolutionary figure, along with his wife. In this same broad region of ocean, no wreckage, no communication, no explanation was ever found. In 1840, a French ship named the Rosalie was discovered drifting in unusually good condition. After being lost for weeks, its cargo was intact, perfectly preserved, but the crew had vanished completely. Only a few living creatures remained aboard: a caged canary, a cat, and some chickens. The rest of the ship was silent, orderly, and empty of human life. And that silence, once again, was the most unsettling detail of all. Then came the Ellen Austin incident, followed by the disappearance of the USS Cyclops in 1918, and later the tragic case of Flight 19 in 1945, each event adding another layer to the growing mystery. And with each decade, the same questions returned. Again and again, where did they go, and why did they never come back? By the mid-20th century, writers and journalists began grouping these stories together, giving shape to something that had once been only scattered reports. In 1964, writer Vincent Gaddis used the term Bermuda Triangle. In an article titled "The Deadly Bermuda Triangle," he described a triangular region connecting Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, covering hundreds of thousands of square miles of ocean. The idea captured public imagination almost immediately, especially in an era fascinated by space exploration, science fiction, and unexplained phenomena. People wanted answers, or at least compelling questions. And the Bermuda Triangle became exactly that. Over time, more books and articles followed. The Miami Herald had already mentioned strange incidents in 1950, and Fate magazine explored similar stories in 1952, under the title "Sea Mystery at Our Back Door." But it was Charles Berlitz's 1974 book, The Bermuda Triangle, that truly pushed the mystery into global fame. Millions of readers around the world encountered the same unsettling idea that somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, something remained unexplained. And even after all these theories, even after all these stories, the incidents did not completely stop. In 1967, the yacht Witchcraft vanished near Miami after a short distress call. In 1970, pilot Bruce Gernon reported flying through a strange cloud tunnel that distorted time and navigation before suddenly emerging near Miami again. Each account added another thread, another fragment, to an already complex pattern of mystery. And as all these stories blend together now, like layers of paint slowly merging on a canvas, you may find your thoughts becoming softer, less anchored to details, more carried by feeling than understanding, If you are enjoying this calm journey through history and mystery, you can subscribe and like to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, where every story is gently slowed, softly narrated, and designed to help your mind unwind into sleep. And now, as the ocean of history stretches quietly beneath us, we can gently pause here, letting the questions remain unanswered, while your mind becomes lighter, calmer, and ready to drift even deeper. The story now slowly begins to drift toward its final horizon, like a ship moving away from shore, where details fade gently into soft distance, and only the feeling of the journey remains. The strange case of Bruce Gernon's flight remains one of the most puzzling modern accounts connected to the Bermuda Triangle. According to his report, something unusual happened that day during his journey between the Bahamas and Florida. Normally, a flight along that route would take around 80 minutes, a simple and predictable trip over open water. But on that day, something felt different. The aircraft seemed to move faster than expected. Much faster. Instead of the usual travel time, Bruce reached his destination in only 35 minutes. At first, this might sound like a small difference, but when he checked his instruments, the situation became even more confusing. The plane's maximum possible speed was around 180 miles per hour, yet calculations based on distance and time suggested an average speed of over 300 miles per hour. A number that should not have been possible under normal conditions. And as this detail settled into the larger history of Bermuda Triangle stories, it added yet another layer of uncertainty, another unanswered question, floating in the same wide ocean of mystery. Even after this incident, stories from the Bermuda Triangle continued to appear over the years. Each one slightly different, yet strangely familiar in feeling. Always the same sense of disruption, of something going wrong, without a clear reason, followed by silence and absence. And naturally, people began asking the same question. Again and again, why does this happen here? What is different about this part of the ocean? And slowly, as human imagination always tries to fill silence with meaning, theories began to appear. Some scientific, some speculative, and some deeply unusual. One of the more extraordinary ideas is the concept of a wormhole. A theoretical passage through space and time, like a hidden tunnel, connecting distant parts of the universe, or even entirely different dimensions. According to this idea, ships and aircraft that disappear in the Bermuda Triangle are not destroyed at all. Instead, they are said to pass through this invisible gateway and emerge somewhere else entirely, perhaps in another part of space, or even another reality. A place where return is impossible, not because of danger, but because of separation. And as you think about that idea, the canvas might gently blur at the edges, as if space itself is becoming soft and uncertain. And you may notice now your thoughts drifting in a similar way, moving gently, without direction, without urgency, as if the mind itself is floating through a quiet unseen current. Another ancient explanation comes from mythology and folklore. For centuries, sailors spoke of enormous sea creatures hidden beneath the waves. Monsters so large that they could swallow entire ships without warning, pulling them into deep water. where no trace would remain. In this interpretation, the disappearances were not mysterious at all, but simply the result of something enormous, living beneath the surface, unseen, but always present. A thought both fascinating and unsettling even today. Then there is the idea of extraterrestrial involvement. Some believe the Bermuda Triangle may be linked to alien activity. Reports of unusual lights in the sky, strange glowing shapes above the ocean, and sudden disappearances have all been connected to this theory. According to this view, the region might act as a kind of monitoring zone, or even a place of abduction, where humans and machines are taken for study or observation. And the unknown lights seen over the water are sometimes interpreted as spacecraft moving between worlds. Whether one believes it or not, it remains one of the most widely discussed modern explanations. Perhaps the most famous and ancient theory is linked to Atlantis. The idea of a lost advanced civilization beneath the ocean has fascinated people for centuries. In 1968, interest in this idea grew again when unusual underwater rock formations were discovered near Bimini Island in the Bahamas. This formation became known as the Bimini Road. Some believe it is not natural at all, but the remains of an ancient city. According to this theory, Atlantis once existed here, and its advanced technology may still influence the region today. Some even suggest that powerful energy crystals, once used by this civilization, might still be active beneath the seabed, releasing electromagnetic disturbances that interfere with navigation systems, causing confusion, disorientation, and in some interpretations, disappearance. There are also more grounded explanations, ones rooted in human activity rather than mystery. Some even suggest government involvement, secret experiments, or hidden facilities operating in remote ocean regions. But despite how dramatic these ideas may sound, most of them remain unverified and widely debated. In contrast, many scientists and researchers offer simpler explanations. In 1975, writer Larry Kusch studied Bermuda Triangle reports carefully. He found that many of the famous stories were either exaggerated, misreported, or missing important context, such as weather conditions. Some ships that were said to have vanished in the triangle were actually lost elsewhere. And in other cases, storms and natural causes explained what happened, even if those details were later overlooked. Organizations like NOAA and insurance companies such as Lloyd's of London also state that the region does not show any unusual level of danger compared to other heavily traveled ocean routes. Even the U.S. Coast Guard does not officially recognize it as a uniquely hazardous or mysterious zone. Scientific explanations also help make sense of many incidents. One involves magnetic variation, where compass readings can become confusing in certain regions due to alignment between geographic and magnetic north. Another suggests sudden releases of methane gas from the ocean floor, which could temporarily reduce water density and affect buoyancy. There are also powerful storm systems, extreme waves, and rare atmospheric conditions that can significantly impact navigation and visibility. Even unusual cloud formations have been studied, including hexagonal cloud patterns that may generate strong downward winds. All of these natural factors, alone or combined, can create conditions that feel mysterious to those experiencing them. And when all perspectives are considered together, a clearer picture slowly emerges. Not of a cursed zone or a hidden gateway, but of a complex region of ocean where weather, geography, and human limitation all intersect. A place where unpredictability can feel like mystery, especially when information is incomplete. And perhaps that is the quiet truth at the center of all these stories, not that the Bermuda Triangle is magical or supernatural, but that human beings have always been drawn to the unknown and have always tried to give it meaning through stories. Because when something cannot be immediately explained, it becomes larger in imagination than it is in reality. And over time, those stories become legends. And interestingly, the Bermuda Triangle is not the only place associated with such reports. Similar accounts exist in other parts of the world, such as the Dragon Triangle near Japan, and regions near Odisha in India, sometimes referred to in local stories as mysterious waters. But unlike the Bermuda Triangle, these places did not become global symbols, because stories are shaped not only by events, but by attention, culture, and storytelling itself. So when we step back, the Bermuda Triangle becomes less of a mystery and more of a mirror, reflecting human curiosity, fear, imagination, and the need to find patterns in uncertainty. A reminder that not every unanswered question is hiding something supernatural. Sometimes it is simply waiting for understanding. And now, as this long journey slowly comes to rest, you may feel your own thoughts becoming softer, quieter, as if the ocean of imagination is finally settling into still water. If you are enjoying these slow historical journeys, you can subscribe to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, where every story is gently painted, carefully narrated, and designed to help your mind unwind into deep relaxation and sleep. I always wonder who is here with me, and from where, so if you feel like it, share your place and time in the comments below. And tonight, as the mystery fades into calm silence, you can simply let go. Breathe slowly and drift gently into rest.